Good morning.
Good morning.
Is anybody here?
Guru Prem Kaur is here.
Suzanne's here.
Say it again.
Guru Prem.
Oh, hi, Guru Prem. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm a couple of minutes late. Who else is here?
Suzanne.
Hi, Suzanne. How you doing?
Pretty good today.
Oh, good. When does your daughter get married?
May 23rd.
May 23rd.
I'm making my dress
One day before my parents' anniversary.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I can remember it.
Oh.
Okay. Who else is here?
Saturday.
Hi, Sadanand. How are you?
Good.
Good. What's up?
Oh.
What's down? What's up?
There's a lot of good stuff going on, if you want to call it good.
I'm so glad to hear it. I'm so glad. Did anybody else come on?
Thomas and Rahmani.
Hi, Tomas and Rahmani. Welcome. And who else is here?
Honey Munder.
Oh, hi, Honey Munder. Welcome.
Hey. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, who else is here?
Sadakal, hello.
Hi, Sadakal. Glad to have you, dear.
Hello.
Glad to have you. So, you still feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm feeling okay physically. Mentally, not such a clean picture.
Oh, crumb. Well, maybe today will help.
I know it will.
Okay. Bless you, dear. And who else is here? Anybody else? Okay. Does anybody have anything funny and quick to report? No.
Anything about quick?
What did you say?
Siri-Gian?
Yeah?
This is, I don't know, funny, amazing, I think is the word I would use.
Uh-huh.
The other day a dog killed one of our chickens, and so we ritually, so she died in my arms, and we were processing her body so that those who eat meat in the community could take her body into them. And so I was with the two young women who were doing the main part of this process, which was extremely clean, and they had just finished massage school, so they were so excited to be seeing all these things that they had heard about. And so we removed what's called the vent, and there was this big, beautiful egg that was completely formed inside in a beautiful membrane. Once we removed that, there was another yolk that was just a little bit smaller than the one that was in the egg itself. And then next to that was one that was a little bit smaller. And then next to that was one that was a little bit smaller. And there were literally hundreds of yolks going down in size until they became almost, invisible. And, you know, as women, when we're born, we have a certain number of ovum, and that's it. So I think we were seeing this in the chicken, and it was so extraordinary, this vision of the fecundity of life that we received even through the death of a young friend.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. It was a great Easter Passover metaphor, a living metaphor.
Yeah.
It was like a living hook'em.
So cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, dear. Okay, did somebody else come on?
Yes, Carol from Juneau.
Carol from Juneau. Welcome, dear. Welcome. Okay, so let's get started. Okay? So everybody sit straight. Long deep breath. Long deep breath. And just relax into that breath. Good. Okay, and now inhale. Join me. Long deep breath. Long deep breath. Feel the energy. Feel the energy flow. Good. And now, on the exhale, feel as though the air is coming out of your heart center. This is heart breath. Good. And now please send this beautiful heart breath to everybody on this call, whether in person or listening to the recording, and actually send it to the whole Soul Answer tribe. Good. Keep up. Know who you are. Wonderful. Okay, now please send this beautiful breath to those who need it. Do you know anybody who is sick in either mind or body? Perhaps you need it. That's it. Keep up. Good. Then feel the presence. Feel the presence flowing through you. And inhale. And exhale. Good. And I just want to let everybody know before we go on that it's very important to be here for the tuning in. It really opens up the energy for you and for this whole session together. So please do what you can to be with us from the very beginning. And also the same goes for the closing song. It is like creating an energy capsule. Okay, so Baba Siri Chand, what do you have for us today? He says the question is, what do you have for me? Okay, so we're not used to thinking in this way, sir. We are just little chickies waiting for you to feed us. So what's going on here? He said, that's my point entirely. He says, you are not little chickies. You are grown men and women. Keep up the breath, please. He says, what do you have for me today? And I'm going, what do you mean, sir? Like, do we adore you? Do we give offerings? He says, well, you know, that stuff is nice. He says, but that's not where I'm headed. He says, I want much more than that. He says, I want your very essence.
I can tell him.
I want your totality. He says, that is what you offer to me. He says, it's not because I'm such a hot shot, he says. It is because that is what you are here for, in order to give over your essence to the Almighty. He says, now, he says, I am involved with the Almighty. He says, and you are too. He says, but what I'm saying is that when you give over to me, he says, there's a very big channel that takes it to that Almighty of you. He says, do you see what I'm saying? He says, he calls himself a worker on the glory line. He says that his job is to help pull or born the very essence of ourselves and hand it to our Creator, our Maker. He says the one who takes care of us, the one who is our origin. He says, as that happens, he says, then you know who you are. Then you know your family lineage. He says, then you know what your DNA is all about. He says, that's my job. He says, I am the midwife. He says, so what you can do for me, he says, is to give your essence, your hurt, your pain, your triumphs, your concerns, your worries. He says, give them all to me. He says, can you imagine? He says, just imagine. He says, if you can, feel it. Feel what happens when you give all to me. He says, it gets returned to you infinite fold. Not tenfold, he says infinite fold. He says, so when you find yourself in these pickles, he says, give me those pickles. Give me your heart. Give me your knowing. He says, you're not alone. He says, you all have such a pervasive idea that you are alone. He says, I know it's in the setup. I know you feel the disconnection. He says, you could not be on earth unless there were a disconnection. He says, unless you have reached a certain state where blah, blah, blah. He says, but in essence, he says, do not live off the separation, live off the communion. And the communion is living in union with your papa, with your mama. He says, you know your papa is infinite, is the infinite, and you know your mama is the creative. He says, live in that essence. Live in that essence right now. He says, see that beautiful. He says, of course, this is going to be imaginary, but there are certain ways that we have to ground what we think of so that we can sort of put it in our mind right now. He says, So think of a line of energy, perhaps a laser of energy between the infinity creator, and the creative, Mama. He says, see that line? He says, now immediately jump into the middle of that line. He says, and when you do that, when you are in the center, this line is actually your Kundalini. He says, have it flowing. He says, have this beautiful line of essence. He says, protracted and contracted. He says, this is your line of essence of who you are. And every time, every time you give over your pickles to me, he says, you open it further. You open it further. He says the flow gets opened even more, the spigot, so to speak. When he's saying spigot, he means the energy, the consciousness, the awareness. He says, feel it, know it. He says, have the gorgeousness of it. He says, it's yours. Do not feel that it is not yours. It is yours. I'm here to tell you that. It is you. He says, you are the projection of what you call the Godhead. In fact, let's turn it around. He says, in fact, you are the Godhead posing as you. Do you understand? That's all there is. That's all there is. There is this infinite consciousness that is posing as a limited consciousness. It is you are the costume. And your mama made that costume for you. Do you see? It's too simple. Now, keep up the long, deep breath, the heart breath. Feel yourself in that knowledge. Feel yourself in that knowledge. Your heart is glowing. He says, please feel that presence. He says, do you ever understand? He says that you are a star-given body. So, sir, what is a star-given body? He says, of course, it is the stardust and so on, as you call it, that makes up your world. He says, but even beyond that, he says, what is the conscious intention behind that stardust? Feel it. Know it. You are the conscious intention behind the stardust. He says, never again assign a place of smallness to you. He says, that's why it's important for you to give over your smallness, your conundrums, your worries. He says, even your happiness. He says, give it all to me. He says, and the quest is then to open it, to stretch it. To stretch your awareness so that you can understand this. He says, not just in your mind, but in your awareness, in what you feel, in what you know. Keep up the breath. He says, you were so blessed. You were so pure. You were so fine, so great. He says you have been around. He says you've been around the block many times, in other words, in many lifetimes, in order to figure that out. This is the play. Open to the branches. He says there are are branches to your conundrum. He says, so please open up your consciousness to explore each one. He says, do not keep going around the same circles. Keep going the same circles that you already know. He says, open your mind to very ancient learning. He says, and also to the reality that is generally not known to humanity. He says, now, I know that these far reaches, they feel too far for you sometimes. Sometimes you think that you are just, quote, playing God. Sometimes you think you are totally imagining. And because of that, might be a very good science fiction writer. He says, but just let your mind open. And he says, let the knowledge move in. He says, let the knowledge of the structure of the universe move into your being. He says, you may not be able to repeat it through words, through pictures. He says, but allow the knowledge to move in. He says, this is real self-knowledge. This is really where you get to know who you are, who we are, what this whole system is all about. He says, do that now. Just relax, open your mind, and let go of the structures that hold your mind just for a little while. He says, you can get them back, no big deal. You just put them in your back pocket for now. Keep up the breath. Good. And as you keep up the breath, feel your heart singing. Feel your heart singing. That is. Open up. And on the wings of your heart's song, allow your feeling, allow your consciousness to move into greater realms. Just let it move. Let it expand. He says that you already have an idea that the whole universe is created through the output of the vibration of sound. Sound is vibration of consciousness of vibration. It says, let go of the restrictions and let yourself fly on that. Let yourself open. That's it. Feel it, know it, be aware. The knowledge, the experience of what is beyond encapsulating. Be present. Good. Now keep that up. Keep that up. And now he's beginning to ask you to acknowledge any feeling, any knowing, any part of it that you may bring back to this everyday consciousness. What does that experience feel like? Good. What do you know it as? Is it an entirely new, unexplainable experience for you? Continue to open, be present. He says, do you feel a preciousness? He says, do you feel your star stuff, which is pure light? Pure light. He says, have you given in to that which can't be known? Allow that to happen now. Allow yourself to give in to what can't be known. He says, yes, I know that can feel daunting, but you have had a peripheral experience. You know that it is safe. He says, after all, where else is there to be? Give over, give over to the pure light. He says, discover who it is that is living as you. Go way beyond the costume. The costume of mind, the costume of physical body, the costume based in time and in space. Go way beyond. Allow it. You were not going out, but you were going in for this journey. Know who you are, know what is, know, feel, allow. Don't restrict, just allow. Allow the experience of being. Allow the experience of being. Good. Opening and opening. Good. And feel now. Feel what comes out of your conundrum of not knowing. That is your question. Your wonder, the mystery of not knowing, of the unknown. There, it's not knowing, it is the mystery of the unknown. And now feel it in a cycle, pouring back into you. Into this time-space vehicle that is you. allowing the glory, the full capacity of the unknown to flow into the known and flow back a bit again, is one complete, continuous zone. Feel, know, be. He says, turn it all over. Turn all the shortcomings, the short knowings. He says, turn it all over. Turn it all over to the unknown so that the known can flow through you. Let the unknown flow through the known, back to the unknown, inescapable. So relax and let it be. And watch what happens. Watch what happens. Do you find that the known part of you gives up its terror? Does it give up its restrictions? Does it give up the strong-held responsibility that make you stressed? Not to say that you will become irresponsible. But oftentimes, the responsibilities held in our mind actually restrict our capability. And our actual responsibility is to relax, to allow the circular movement of the known and the unknown of you. Realizing this circuit is you. This total, complete circuit is you. No judgment of up or down. No judgment of good or evil. No judgment of lack or excess. Simply this flow. This flow. It may be a flutter. It is a flow. All preciousness of the divine. And the divine is you. Now, we're going to take on an even bigger scope, allowing yourself to know, as Yogi Bhajan said, that the other person is you. If you can't see God in all, you can't see God at all. So, letting go the restrictions, the barriers. Allow this infinite flow. Allow the realization that there is no one that it does not flow through. There is no one on this planet who has ever been, who ever will be, that this infinite flow escapes. We are one flow. Breathe with that, and let down the barrier. He says you are safe when you do this. He says when you allow the flow, You continue to be safe even with the other people that you have normally called different than you. You are safe. You may say, oh, but they are not manifesting this kindness and this goodness. He says each one is at its own stage of recognition, of living in this God flow, this purity. But every one is this potent flow. He says it's not just like you are brothers and sisters. He says, at the core, you are all one. At your essence, you are all one. And when you know that, when that flows through you, he says your path through life is open. This vibratory rate, it's like a bell, and it vibrates, it chimes with the bells of others. And that is how you serve. You serve this earth. You serve this humanity simply by being you, by being the total essence of you. That is the truth and the reality and the totality of you is the oneness of all. Do you see? We are living in this illusion that is the truth of time and space. But as you open to this flow, know from the unknown, letting the unknown express itself as you're known, as a continuous flow, a continuum. Then the unknown becomes known to you. And on a subtle level, as you do this, the unknown becomes known to all of humanity. So do you see how important it is for you to rest in, to allow, to relax in, give permission to this great flow? This is your work for humanity. Some people may feel that they need to preach, they need to scream, they need to fight. He says sometimes those things are appropriate. He says, but if this flow is not working, if this flow has been closed down, he says, what use is it? It is this full participation of the unknown to the known to the unknown and continuing it that is the lifeblood of humanity. And let it be so. Let it be so now, knowing who you are, knowing who the collective is, knowing your job in this costume. Interacting with all the costumes of the planet as one, totally as one. Good. And feeling that, knowing that within every essence of your being, every molecule, every bit of your psyche, know it. There's no reason to seek it, only to relax in it. Good. And now bringing the unknown, the purity and totality of the unknown into the known. Keeping that going, keeping that fluid, begin to switch your attention to the known area, but not cutting off the unknown, just like a spotlight, begin to shift to become aware. And opening. Wonderful. Now, my dears, he says, knowing, understanding, by this experience that we are all one, he says, let's begin to share these experiences. Let's begin to share. Who can start?
I can. This is Ranjit.
Yes, dear.
Hi. I think the most poignant thing for me was that I couldn't be here on Earth unless there was a disconnect. And I never really thought of that before, and that really woke something up inside of me. That was just a big lesson today for me. And then I got, when you said to let our heart sing, my heart actually started singing. It was like first started off like a little la la la, and then it went into this aria,
wow.
which is funny. Which is it's caro mio ben, credi mio men, senza de te, and so on. But what it means is, my dear beloved, believe me at least, without you my heart languishes. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just couldn't believe that popped into my head, and that was just so awesome. and then when it came to, I think I can't be reminded enough about that the other person is myself, because that feels like it holds me so true and so straight, and it just makes my life here so much easier since I've learned that. I don't always remember it, but it's like one of those things I can't hear enough, because it just pulls me right back in and just makes me right. And the amalgamation of the known with the unknown, and when it became mixed with the stardust, and it was just blessing and making, it just blessed me and just made the flow of divinity so sweet throughout my whole being and throughout the universe. And it was I just thank you. It was just an amazing, a lot of lessons, a lot of love, a lot of opening, and just a lot of grace and presence of love and light. Thank you.
How wonderful. How wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, dear.
Thank you.
Isn't the truth, your experience of the truth, amazing and sort of wild?
Yes, yeah. It was so amazing on the journey that, in this short amount of time, this huge journey that I just took. It was, and brought me right back to the center again, and it was just, I don't know, sometimes it just blows my mind to think about how, that we really are so much a part of everything, and yet we come back into these small bodies, and, and sometimes we get into the smallness of all that when we get about our daily living, and then to be able to come back out and remember that this is who we are, and this is who we all are.
Isn't that amazing? I love that aria. I loved it.
Yeah, and I love that it came to my heart, and I could see my heart singing it. It was, I don't know, it was just amazing.
Oh, that's wonderful. And this experience of moving out to see the whole picture, If you know McCunnum, she is our webmaster. She calls that process Google Earth.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
You know what I mean? When you,
yes.
That allows you to come out from the planet and to see things in a much, much bigger picture.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And that actually happened to one of those astronauts. You know, the founder of Noetic Sciences?
I can't say I do. I don't.
I forget his name, but that was his experience of coming out and seeing the whole Earth. Same thing. That's something?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, I know what you're talking about now. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, dear.
Thank you.
Okay, who else can share?
Siri-Gian?
Yes, Tomas. Hello. Satnam.
Hello. The line of essence phrase really reached me. And I immediately saw ever-resourcing river and what I call a moveless movement. And it all resided in peace, a pool of peace.
A pool of peace?
Yes. And peace was defined as a passionate acquiescence to divine will.
And that is
I just bowed my head at that point.
Described what?
I just bowed my head at that point.
Bless you, dear. Because that's the only thing you can do. Pure allowing, pure flowing.
And I saw that the little grows big and the big grows little in a continuum.
You really did
continuous cycles. And I felt great peace.
Did you see this great peace in all of humanity? The oneness of us.
Yes. That was what I meant by the little grows big, just like a baby grows. And then in age we diminish. But it ultimately vitalizes the planet.
Right. And
as each fruitful thought can produce a tree of beauty.
It is, yes.
That's all I wanted to say.
That's all, huh? You just said it all. Oh, your sharings are so, how can I say, so insightful descriptions of the truth. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Tomas.
Thank you. I really appreciate you.
Yes, and we're going to give it all to Baba Siri Chand.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, dear.
Siri-Gian?
Yes, Rahmane.
Yeah, the question that I was coming up with in the very beginning was about the word worship, which I think is a word that's been misunderstood as some kind of supplication of something that's separate from us. And so I found so much of what you spoke, what came through you, to be a description of true worship. And I think how that word needs to be rebooted. And I've recently been working on a website about the Aramaic Jesus stuff and not finding in the dictionary any word for worship. And I'm thinking, okay, well, then our word worship doesn't equate to a word that was used back then. What does equate? And so many of the phrases, the Godhead posing as us, and we posing as the Godhead, and becoming conscious of the intention behind stardust and pure allowing, and exploring the universe as the self. There was just on and on and on and on articulation of what true worship seems to me to be. And when we first went into the meditation of feeling the universe as ourself, I immediately felt this is what I was killed for a lot of times. Like the Sufi guy who said, "I'm al-Haq, I am the truth," and he was beheaded. And perhaps some of the gurus were beheaded as well because what they were saying was seen as so blasphemous. And then, I work a lot with Christianity, and I keep thinking, what's the purpose of this thing? It just got so off course. But then I realized that maybe it was a safe place for people to say, oh, I'm one with Jesus, and so then they wouldn't be killed. If they had said, I am God, then they probably would have been killed. And a lot of them probably were. And then, I don't know if you remember Santokar. She came up with this song long ago, and I don't remember all the words she used, but I know the first line was, I know the unknown is known to me. So I finished the verses so I could sing it kind of in sync with what we were saying today. I know the unknown is known to me. Everything's unfolding naturally. I know the unknown is known to you. So we're now unfolding as Guru.
That's wonderful.
There you have it.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, dear. I love this. I love being with all of you doing this. Oh, I just wanted to say, when you were talking about worship, Baba Siri Chand was saying, yes, what you're talking about is, he calls it the science of bhakti yoga. That is devotional practice. That's what you're describing. It is what we did today. It is allowing. It is giving over, not being separate. Okay, thank you so much. Now, who else can share?
I can share.
Oh, good. There are two people. I heard Guru Prem, and who was the other person? Suzanne. Okay, so we're going to take Guru Prem first, and then we're going to do Suzanne.
My feeling when I want to be one with everyone is I do a mantra, Guru Arjan gave me, which is, I am you, you are me. And I breathe it, or I actually sometimes use, if I'm pouring tea from a big pot to a small container, I am you, you are me, into the small pot. And I've done that before for merging with people, like at the airport in Mumbai, where I was the only person on the walkway, and hundreds of people looking for someone to come. I would just merge with all of them. And my most recent revelation I've had, the Guru's given me, since I've been doing Sakriya, calling on them and using them to help wash the world, they told me that I'm Guru's Durga. And I wondered what that meant, and they said, you're living it, you're doing it by calling on their qualities to, clear up the confusion in the world and bring righteousness and peace. power of healing. These are all these qualities that I'm bringing. It's like yoga was given gifts by the gods, and I've been giving gifts of the gurus. And what I was feeling doing Sakshi this morning is that I also have the gifts of the Amrit, which I rinse the world in for the rinse cycle, and gifts of the martyrs that I call upon. I call upon all of them to help with the world. And the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib appeared to me today as a 1,000-petaled lotus. Mm-hmm. And Guru Gobind Singh appeared to me today. I knew I've been using him as pure righteousness to align everyone with Dharma as righteousness. And he appeared today to me as a double-edged sword, a khanda. So my pickle with this talk with Baba Siri Chand was to understand the vastness of it. It keeps becoming more clear to me and vaster, and the unknown is so vast, so huge. And when you started talking about the unknown, what came to me is just love, just sublime, divine love of God.
That's it. Isn't that amazing? That's what it all comes down to.
I mean, there's really nothing we have to worry about or do. Just dwell on that.
You got it. That was Yogi Bhajan's motto. I dwell in God. That's it. Okay. Thank you so much, dear. Thank you very much. We will dwell in that love of God, which is us. Which is us, right? Suzanne.
Well, mine's, once again, seems to be my thing, a very practical experience of the known and the unknown and allowing. But learning when to hear something and you go, whoa, I just heard this. So I was with some women and they said, oh, you should make your dress for the wedding. Well, who wants to take time for that? But I heard it and I thought, that's an idea. Then I was given some beautiful material. It's yards and yards of sari material. How will I do that? And it was an amazing project to start, but I was given the answers. And then the whole process, I think the dress is a metaphor for me learning to listen, be willing to go to the unknown of no answer and hear the knowing. It has just walked me through. The whole process has been very serendipitous. It's just downright funny. And I think that's to me it's very joyful to feel that I don't know the answers, just it'll come. And it's a very, in one sense, practical in my world, but it feels very unworldly. And I think it's magical. I hope I made a little bit of sense there because I have to practically make something, but I've been given amazing insights.
That's the way it works. There is no separation. There's no separation, what we call this world and what we have been calling the other world. No, it's a continuum. It's a flow. And now you are getting the real experience that it works so beautifully as one continuum.
I'm so grateful. It brings out amazing sheer gratitude. Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
So what color is the dress?
Oh gosh. It would be white, but it's very old material, so it's ecru and gold.
Oh.
So if you can imagine sari material that would have been made in those colors. But it's about 40 years old, the material is. So it's really very subtle, warm, almost like overly milked coffee.
Oh, how delightful. How lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you all for being with us. We've reached the end of our hour. But please don't let it stop. As you've seen, it's all a continuum. So please keep up living in this. It's beyond the space. Living in this flow This is who you are. There is no boundary, that boundary that we have between the known and the unknown. Let those walls of Jericho come tumbling down, and then enjoy it. Okay, God bless you all. Talk to you next week. So please sit straight and sing this beautiful song from your singing heart to all the singing hearts. Inhale. May the long time sunshine upon you, all love around you, and the pure light within you guide your way on, guide your way on, guide your way on. Inhale. And bow to that flow that is you, that is us, that is all. God bless you all. Talk to you soon.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you. You too.